a lot of your viewers have heard on Beat how news organizations aren't getting the revenue that they deserve because of the news bump through Brexit and the news bump through Trump, because marketers have been worried about adjacency to risky content. And I think that what happened at the start of the brand safety issues, that the pendulum of brand safety swung across to the conservative side. And I think it's coming back, but it's probably coming back a little too slowly. And one of the reasons for that is that marketers are finding that they can get impressions outside of news. So rather than risk buying in news, they can get impressions outside of news, and that's damaging the news organizations, I believe, unfairly. I think that there are some very good quality impressions to be bought in news. In fact, perhaps better quality impressions in news, because it's around the issues of the day. And so by not buying in news, we're missing out on a number of opportunities. There's a second reason why that's happening. And that is because news, the consumption of news is moving from traditional news sources and newspapers to social media. Officially in the US, there are now more people consuming news from social media than they are from newspapers. And I think this is a crisis for free press and potentially even for democracy. What we're seeing globally is that local news organizations in some of the developing markets like Malaysia and Indonesia, and even huge markets like India, as press is being digitalized, rather than the younger viewers who are looking at this on their smartphones, reading the news on their devices from the newspapers' platforms, they're just moving directly onto the social platforms, and this is decimating the revenues for the large local media. And remember, these are the newspapers with journalists with feet on the ground, with local knowledge, who can speak the language, who can deliver news that's trusted in the environment. And when news moves into social, as you know, it can be rife with fake news, government intervention. We saw the disastrous consequences of this in the Ukraine, in Myanmar, and even in Brexit and the 2016 US elections. It really is a worry for free press and democracy. And there is something that we can do about that. There's an organization called United for News. It's a non-profit, and what they do is, in developing countries, work with news organizations to help them in the digitalizing journey, and understand not just the production processes and how to digitize news, but also help them with revenue models. And we're working working on a strategy that helps them pool the inventory in their market, so that they can create a competitive advertising environment to the large platforms to give marketers an advertising opportunity in those areas. So we can go to marketers and say, hey, don't just move your advertising revenue to the platforms because it's a media plan that looks good on a spreadsheet. Here you'll be able to get quality impressions, which, by the way, are brand safe, they're viewable, they're lower fraud, but also you'll be helping support the local news and perhaps even support democracy in those countries as well.
So how do you expect buyers to respond to that call to action?
Yeah, I think that buyers might say, it's not our job to save democracy. Our job is to sell a product on behalf of our client, or our clients might even say it's our job to sell the product. I think we've got to foster a healthy environment for us to operate in every single country. Otherwise, and by the way, this happens fast. If we don't do something, I think that that local newspapers can be affected in a short window of 3 to 5 years. And that then really means that will negatively influence the market in which those marketers operate. I really do think we have to think in the long term. But we've had a couple of conversations with very big international marketers, and they've been responsive. We haven't just gone with our hand out saying, help save democracy, help save local newspapers. We're going to them with a solution that gives them a large body of impressions, brand safe impressions, effective impressions, created by journalists who understand local issues, local trends, and the local market. So they're good quality impressions at a scale. So I think that there'll be a good marketing solution for them as well as a social solution.